Hello fellow Misfortunates! In this video you will learn about the strategies a challenger Misfortune player uses to unlock Misfortune's full potential in a high-stakes ranked game. The player we are watching here is called Monster Chat God from the North American server, and if you want to check out their profile you can find the link in the video description down below. So first and foremost, Misfortune is forced to concede lane priority because she has to leash for her jungler. This gives Aphelios a massive advantage right away, as Misfortune will be unable to kill the 9 minions required to hit level 2 in time. However, our challenger player handles the situation appropriately and just sits under tower. Here they can catch up in terms of champion levels easily without giving the enemy bot lane an opportunity to abuse their power spike. Knowing exactly when you can or cannot contest the level 2 power spike in the bot lane is arguably one of the most important skills you need if you want to improve your performance. Anyway, because the enemy bot lane pushed hard and because Misfortune's jungler started bot side, this opens up quite the efficient jungle gank. On the minimap you can see Trundle getting in position to punish the enemy for overextending. Leona actually flashes in to try and make that play work, but the challenger Aphelios player is quick to react with a cleanse flash combo for an instant escape. However, there are two things to keep in mind here. First of all, the gank was still a success and the enemy bot lane in fact got punished for not setting up vision in time. Aphelios is a squishy, immobile AD carry and his flash is worth way more than Leona's, and he lost cleanse as well. And secondly, and more importantly, more than 99% of you guys watching are not playing against challenger opponents, so a gank like this will likely result in a double kill in your games. So if you find yourselves in a similar situation after a leash, try to assist ping your lane to increase the chance your jungler sees the opportunity. Now during the early game, Misfortune is actually a very dominant champion. This is because you have the ability to harass your opponents with Q bounces from a distance, giving them no chance to trade back. Chip damage like this is very important regardless of whether you crit them with a minion execute or not. Damage is damage, and when the enemy can't retaliate at all, it is always in your favor. Now in this situation, Braum tries to go all in to assist his jungler fighting in Tribush. They make the mistake of going for the tanky Leona who is in their path, allowing Misfortune to completely ignore Braum and gun down the flashless Aphelios for free. Quickly removing the highest damage threat from the fight means Misfortune's team wins the exchange easily and the enemy is forced to retreat. In order to get as much mileage out of this kill as possible, Misfortune and Leona instantly push the minions into the enemy tower and then recall. This gives them a big advantage going forward, as the tower now kills the minions by itself, denying Aphelios gold and experience. Going for a tower plating before recalling would actually be a huge mistake, since Aphelios' death timer is still quite short at champion level 4, which means he is almost back in lane by now. Overstaying for the plating and then recalling too late would allow Aphelios to push in the next minion wave in return, completely nullifying Misfortune's advantage right away. With the correct base timing, however, our challenger player is now able to collect a huge minion wave coming towards him for free. What's more, due to the enemy minion wave being substantially bigger, Misfortune can also set up a freeze and keep the wave just outside her tower for maximum safety. If Aphelios wants to farm any minions at this point, he is forced to walk very far into the lane, opening himself up for another gank. The enemy team realizes this, however, and their mid laner shows up to pressure Misfortune away and reset the minion wave under their tower. Now Misfortune is the one who needs to be careful, as 4 out of 5 enemies have shown themselves near bot lane, indicating that a fight over the first dragon will soon break out. Notice how she stays behind her tower to prevent any damage and instantly pops a potion when getting hit by Aphelios' Q to stay at max health. Now as her team gets into position, she can walk forward with 100% HP and fully contribute to the coming fight. Just imagine how this would have played out had she failed to preserve her health total under tower. Fast forward to the end of lane phase when the first bot lane turret finally falls. Entering the mid game, your decision making is actually very complicated, since you as an AD carry need to balance between being useful to the team and maximizing your farm. Our challenger player has completed Gale Force now, but you need to still maintain a healthy amount of CS to get the rest of your items fast. When a dragon is on the map again, of course securing this monster for your team is way more important than a couple of lane minions. Misfortune chases the enemies away from the pit together with Leona, so Trundle can take the objective for free. She stays behind her support, of course, since AD carries can never afford to face check unsafe territory. The synergies between Leona's chain CC and Misfortune's burst damage are insanely strong, as you probably know, and in this situation the enemy team has no choice but to retreat again. Now there is no objective on the map that needs to be fought over, so Misfortune is finally free to click the subscribe button and grab some farm here. The bread and butter macro play in the mid game is of course to push the minions past the river and then roam. Misfortune does exactly that to both avoid getting collapsed on in the mid lane and to preemptively assist Trundle and Tahm Kench in the top lane. By the time she gets there, Trundle has already killed the opposing Sylas and the fight is over, but you never know if your team blunders, or more concerning, how many opposing players are also trying to back up the fight. You lose exactly nothing when you roam after pushing past river, and even if your backup isn't needed in the end, you still make the game more difficult for your opponents when they don't know where you are. Afterwards, Misfortune has more than enough time to rotate back towards mid lane and collect the new incoming minion wave. Again, this is a perfect example of how you need to play if you want to both be there for a potential fight and maximize your gold from minion kills. Okay, now here's a spicy one. Misfortune hides in the bush attempting to assassinate the enemy mid laner. With Gale Force and Lord Dominik's regards, our challenger player does have the burst damage to pull this off, but you need to know your champion well enough to make those calls. Even when you come out ahead, it is still a risky play, as you can see here, since Misfortune and her allies have not set up enough vision to protect her from Viego. Well, at least Trundle and Leona get the revenge kill, turning the situation into a 2-for-1 trade in Misfortune's favor. You heard that correctly, by the way. Our challenger player in fact bought Lord Dominik's regards second item, attempting to buy Collector third. Do yourselves a favor and don't copy this build, as it is much more efficient to get Collector second and Lord Dom's third. If you are forced to buy Lord Dom's second item because the enemy jungler is Zac and the enemy top laner is Cho'Gath, just skip Collector altogether and buy Infinity Edge third. Oh, and also buy Kraken Slayer in that situation. Gale Force is okay on Misfortune, but only if the enemy team has 0 tanks. Now your decision making in the late game is as simple as it gets, especially when you've made all the correct plays earlier and are massively ahead like this. You move as a team, take the free objectives, don't risk anything, and thereby give the opponent no chance to make a comeback happen. As soon as you get an easy pick on a weak enemy, you can take free towers and steal their jungle monsters from them, while your allies get another dragon for free. One neat little trick here, notice how Misfortune doesn't actually take all of the opponent's raptors but leaves a small one behind. This stops the camp from respawning, which means you effectively deny even more golden experience from the enemy compared to taking all of the raptors. Anyway, at a certain point the enemy can simply no longer contest you. However, this is only true as long as you avoid dying. You are a priority target for the enemy and you are fairly squishy. Your death means potentially giving up the next Baron, opening the door for your opponent's comeback. Even when you are ahead like this, good opponents will seize the opportunity when you are weakened from taking Baron and force you into a fight in a last-ditch effort. If Misfortune gets caught here, the enemy team is actually not unlikely to ace your team with a well-coordinated attack and collect a bunch of towers afterwards on top of your shutdown gold. However, this Misfortune reacts to the threat appropriately, and now she and her team can start to break open the enemy base, take the inhibitors and win the game. If you feel that educational videos like this one are helpful to you, you can get even more by clicking the link on your screen right there.